Blog Talk Radio.
Warning, the following program may include profane language, controversial viewpoints, and perspectives on the true nature of reality so far removed from the status quo, they'll make your head spin like a top. Young children, corporate executives, and religious fundamentalists should turn away now. Greetings, sovereign citizens of the planet Earth. Welcome to Extraordinary Year. My name is Tim Bravo. Thanks for listening in. Exactly 11 years after the biggest crime in modern history, and exactly 100 days until December 21st, 2012. With me is co-host Canada. What's up, Canada?
Oh, not much.
Nice to have you on. And tonight, buddy, we're taking a look at the state of 9/11 truth. What I don't want to do, and I want to get this out of the way right away, what I don't want to do is get stuck in discussion over the mountains of evidence. 4 planes, 3 skyscrapers, 1 smoking hole, and the most heavily defended edifice on the planet. There's just way too much to cover. So, if you're thinking about calling in, I'd ask you in advance not to call with a laundry list of proof, because we've got it. We understand. If you would like to call, I'd invite you to share how you woke up to 9/11 truth and your predictions for how and when the world will finally get on with a new and real investigation into the events of that day. So, 11 years on, what has changed? 11 years ago today, the Western world experienced the defining moment of our generation. I would say America experienced it, but the implications and repercussions rippled throughout the Western world almost immediately. Not only did security clampdowns begin right away, but random number generators the world over suddenly became a lot less random, indicating something had happened to the global consciousness we are all a part of. A ripple in the force that we all felt on an unconscious level. Most people, me included, bought the official explanation then for years after. Most people, me included, didn't realize not 2 but 3 skyscrapers fell in New York that day. Most people, me included, went along with the rationale for going to war in Afghanistan. Most people were ready to give up a number of personal freedoms in exchange for safety. Problem, reaction, solution. But in 11 years, what has changed? Well, the 9/11 truth movement, that's what. Over the years, some people started to notice things didn't add up, and they started to speak out. And a film student named Dylan Avery put out a documentary called Loose Change that would awaken me and so many others. People began to open their minds to facts and evidence that suggest anything but the official explanation is what happened on that day. So, let's talk about the 9/11 truth movement and how it's come to be. David, when did you come to any question at all, or even be aware that there are questions about 9/11?
Definitely within the past couple of years. I mean, granted, when 9/11 happened, 2001, I was, I think, in the 4th or 5th grade. I was actually in Canada when it happened, and the crazy thing about it is, I woke up late for school, and we got to school, and the TVs were on, and saw everything, and we had to write a paper in class on how it was going to affect Canada. Irrelevant, though, I didn't really understand what was happening to an extreme nature. It wasn't until actually moving here and remembering 9/11 year after year since 2004, since I moved here, that I started looking more in depth into it. And then, stories just started not adding up within, I'd say, in between probably around 2007, 2008, first, second year of college, my critical thinking skills developed, cognitive thinking, and just started getting a little bit better, started getting a little bit more open-minded, seeing the world in different views, and then stories just started spattering out, a lot across the internet, through just different forms of social media, and upon reviewing them, it made sense that it didn't make sense. And granted, I've always been one for, a little bit of a conspiracy theory. I like to look into the unknown because it's fun, it's interesting. But aside from just being a conspiracy theory, unlike a typical conspiracy theory, there is mountains of evidence. Like you said, we don't need to get into it because it's already been exposed, yet somehow it keeps getting covered up and pushed under the rug, if I may, to hide the truth of what's actually going on. And so to answer your question, it was probably within the last couple of years is when I really just started to ask what's going on here. Why does this not add up to this?
Well, and then you kind of ended talking about, how it's been swept under the rug. And, the old adage, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And, as time has spiraled on, what should have happened is the exponential growth in numbers of people who don't buy 9/11, leading to a critical mass, forcing the elite powers to give us a new investigation. That's what should have happened, a real investigation. Instead, what seems to have happened is the rate of growth in the 9/11 truth movement, and this is my perception alone, but it would seem to me that the rate of growth in the 9/11 truth movement has slowed or even grown stagnant. And, the minds that could be opened seem to have been opened, and the minds that couldn't remain rigid and closed even to the thought, turning away from any mention, preferring instead to focus on, who's going to win American Idol or who did what with whom on the Real World or Jersey Shore. But most people still seem to believe that, the official story of 9/11. Even though in 2006, InfoWars, they were touting some poll that said scientific poll shows that at 84% of Americans at least question the events of 9/11 or the official.
Right.
I don't see that reflected in the world, in reality.
Well, see, and I think you left out a category there. You built the two categories. You built those who have come to just accept what has been presented to us by the government, and those who believe there are other reasons of, what actually happened. But I think there's another group, which is that 84% of who they want to believe, but then society just turns around and looks at them and says, "You're retarded. You're a dumbass. Why would you believe that? Our government wouldn't do that to us. Our government doesn't lie to us." And so they're just turned away,
Except now, since the Tea Party has come up in the last couple of years, those same people who were saying that and denying 9/11 are actually the same sort of people who are so far to the right that they're, the government is the devil. They just wouldn't believe that the government under George Bush could have done it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break your train of thought.
No worries. But it happened, so.
Well, okay. Well, like I said, I don't see it reflected in reality, in day-to-day life, in the public discourse about 9/11. There's no question about the official story in the media. There's no question about the official story in public discourse. It's not talked about, and so I don't see it reflected. If 84% of Americans at least question the official story, I would think that would be reflected. And I guess maybe that just goes to show just how powerful a grip these guys have on the media and thereby public perception of what is real and what people really think. Maybe people are actually just we're all talking about this, and we all think that we're not. Although I really think that, if that many people actually, had questions about 9/11, that there would be no hiding it. So I don't see it. So I'm going to bring on our friend, the Hated Patriot, who's just logged in. What do you got to say, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going.
That's good. My sound's okay? Nothing screwing up?
Yeah.
Okay,
we're good this week.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It's been a while since I called in, and I'm glad to be here. Well, I thought I'd give a little bit of my testimony, just because I've been, out there every every 9/11 when I'm on Facebook, I have to be the asshole that sits there and talks about the inside job, irritates the people that want to, oh, it's a solemn occasion, whatever. I don't care. My human design chart says I'm the heretic, so I'll offend people. But I just wanted to say that, for me personally, at the beginning of 9/11, I took most of it at face value. I mean, hell, at that time I was actually even a born-again Christian and supported George Bush like many other Christians did, and I wasn't even from the Bible Belt. I'm from New England area, and I've evolved in my spiritual belief system ever since then, and I'm part of the more of the ascendant people thinking about that level of spirituality and going fourth and fifth dimensional. But that's neither here nor there. But it was around the time we started talking about the Iraq War that is when my awakening really started. And then it took me a while to even understand that going into Afghanistan was completely unjustified. Once I understood the complete history of Afghanistan, the complete history of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, and its connection to the CIA and to the Bush family.
Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, exactly. So that really after a while, it's just everything about it. I couldn't justify one darn thing, and and nowadays it's really kind of funny because early on, especially while George Bush was president, you could talk to a Democrat and it wasn't crazy to talk about a corporation conspiracy from the Republicans. But Democrats, they believe in Republican conspiracies because Republicans have the image of that relationship with corporations, but they don't understand the statism issue, and they don't see the hypocrisy within their own party, and they have a hard time understanding controlled opposition and how they just play off each other. I try to explain to people, no difference between Obama and Romney. Look at Romney. He doesn't want to repeal Obamacare. He just wants to tweak it a little bit, and Republicans are falling in line with that. So I think the best way to move forward, and I was saying this with the anniversary of Occupy coming up, is we really have to discredit the signal. Whenever I talk about 9/11 and there's somebody on the side of the status quo, on the side of the statists, they will talk about all these engineers that came forward, this History Channel special, yada, yada, yada. And I look at them, so these are all state-sanctioned scientists that do engineering work. All of these guys are on either a government or a government-subsidized corporation's payroll, much like the way Egyptologists in Egypt are on the Egyptian government's payroll or something like that. And I try to cite other examples of how they control the flow of information. So you have to discredit the people that are trying to hold up the system. So I'm more concerned about taking down CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox News, ABC. I'm more concerned with killing their signal so our signal still remains, or at the very least turning their signal on its head so that way we have influenced them to tell the truth. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I think ultimately that's kind of the way it has to be. Karmically, I think that they have to choose it. If somebody were to force that, it would be awesome for humanity. But I think karmically, it might not be the best thing for those doing the forcing. Violating somebody else's will, no matter who it is, goes against the laws of karma. And so the idea is we have to get them to either change their tune and start whistling the truth, or step aside.
Right. It takes a delicate touch because, of course, not all of them are entirely bad. I mean, we all know that there's probably CIA assets all over these news stations or whatever. But I mean, we have to look at them like an iPet goat. The Drake character, the talking head, that's the snake in the back of the kid's head. Just keeping him down, because that's exactly what that is. That's the media system and the money system.
And I think ultimately it's probably their bosses who are really the ones that are the true, old man in the tube on iPad Go 2, the Draco character, like you said. I think it probably goes higher up to have that much control. I mean, we already know that basically all the media in America is owned by 5 corporations in total.
Who are owned by 13 families in total.
5 entities. So, and then all you have to do is control the heads of those 5. Right. So, I mean,
I personally believe that there isn't like a sole, like one world leader type guy, even though there are guys towards the top like Prince Will of the Prince William, who some people believe will be the Antichrist, etc. I think that that's all just a figurehead, just like the president is just a figurehead. The president is just a straw man for the behavior of the United States corporation. I believe that it's got to be run truly in an organization of a large number, a few, but large number of elitists that work primarily in the shadows. And they have their people that they push in front. I mean, at this point, the Rothschilds are so hot that the Rothschilds are probably creating aliases for themselves, and they're going to go through their metaphorical shapeshift, because the Rothschilds were not called the Rothschilds up until the 1770s, and they invented the name from Bauer. Right. And thus they went through another permutation, and that's how these sorcerers cast their illusion. I believe in Michael Tsarion's belief system that goes all the way back to Akhenaten and the Atenists, and that we're dealing with the same bloodlines of families that go back to ancient Egypt. And, they are the dream weavers. They are the ones that cast the spell on us. And that's how it works. It's the entire spell is just based on just telling you a lie. Make sure you leave the lie, and then your entire basis of reality is false. It doesn't matter how real the world is in front of you. If there's a pink elephant in the room, it doesn't matter if that pink elephant is really just a gray television set. It's kind of like that weirdness to it.
And I think the general masses don't even need that much of a soothing. They're just happy to, suck at the tit of mindlessness that is, television programming. There's not a lot they have to do. It doesn't take a lot of work. Although, right. I mean, they're putting some work into it. For a lot of people, it doesn't take a lot of work. They're just happy to be mindless and to have compassion. A lot of people are just too damn busy in day-to-day life to do much other than get home and relax for an hour before they go to bed and get up and do it again.
Yeah, and you know what? That's understandable, and I know so many good people that are just like that. And it's true. They're good people. And they're trying to work. Not everybody is just simply so mindlessly dedicated to the system that they accept it at face value. My dad's a pretty freaking normal guy, but I can talk to him about 9/11 being an inside job, and that's perfectly okay between us. And he sort of believes it, himself, but he's nowhere near a truther movement kind of vibe. My girlfriend is a TSA lead supervisor. She believes 9/11 was an inside job. So I mean, my cousin works for ICE.
You said this is your girlfriend?
My girlfriend. She's a TSA.
Was a TSA supervisor.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. That's a contradiction. I love somebody who is a part of the system. It's kind of like, I think it was the movie or the book or whatever, 1984, where the guy falls in love with a number 2 or a B or whatever they were, the middle management of the socialist system or of the state. Like, I'm like that, and one of these days somebody's going to beat me up and sedate me, and I'm going to be like, oh, the world's all sunny and roses and we're winning the war. But that's just what I joke to myself about. But I mean, my cousin who works for DHS as an ICE agent, not down in the southern border, but more in the New York City area, actually. He's very open-minded and very much, understands that there's a great possibility that 9/11 was an inside job, and he respects my opinion in the highest authority. But for those people...
Does he think about the implications thereof? I mean, that's really, you can't, that's the whole thing. It's Pandora's box. You can't just go, oh, well, I guess it probably was an inside job, and then leave it there. You can't stop there.
He does. He simply tries to hold up, the integrity, the professional spirit of, what his job is supposed to be. My girlfriend does the same. They're not part of the aspect of the system that is corrupted and designed to fail or designed to be tyrannical. And heck, my cousin, he was working in the State Department and then chose to go to DHS, and it's more like it's just a job to him than it's about any vigor of being dedicated to the state. He's a very constitutionalist person. He very much was in support of Ron Paul. I have him sitting with Liberty Defined, my copy of Liberty Defined, in his apartment right now, and he hadn't gotten a chance to read it yet. Said, dude, just read it chapter at a time. Each chapter is like 2 or 3 pages, just going over subject points. And he'll get to it. But
here's the deal. I don't care who you are or what you do or who you work for or how close to the system you are on a human level. I don't see how it's possible to look at 9/11, actually have the thought, the admission, the self-admission to yourself that maybe there's something a little funky about it, and then leave it there. You have to consider the implications. You have to go down the rabbit hole from there. How do you not?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I just think that, part of it is what's healthy, and I believe what's so important about the truth movement is that sometimes I think we have more influence than we realize, because you have to realize that this conspiracy, it's not like all of a sudden you're in management and government, you're in on the conspiracy. No, it's not like that. You're probably just a sleeper in the system. You're probably just one who accepts it at face value. But if our truth all of a sudden rings a bell to those people, all of a sudden the system from the inside out begins to purify. As somebody who's high up says, holy crap, those conspiracy theorist crazy guys weren't crazy at all. I think they were right. And you change the whole culture in the system, and then it eventually falls apart out of a lack of conviction for it.
I was going to say, and according to David Wilcock, that sort of thing is going on. That there are Pentagon insiders, and a lot of them who, being referred to as white hats, who are in the midst of really trying to basically do a coup, in this country and of the military.
Yeah. I believe it.
But there's no real evidence of that. We have to take it on face value or take his word for it.
I personally think there is, and this is really interesting. And I see the evidence of this from one of the big black ops that everybody like us has blown the whistle on, and that's Chem Trails. In the last couple of months, I have seen almost no chemtrails, where the couple of months preceding it was a checkerboard sky every other freaking day. I have not seen these planes right in streaks across the sky. I do see them every once in a while. And there's another level where they actually are still chemtrailing us, but they can't do it with the planes anymore. Now they're using the Black Ops aircrafts that are creating clouds, and that's a whole other can of worms of invisible Area 51 UFOs creating the chemtrails. But my point is that it seems, I would see them more. I live around New York City. There was no exception to this. There was a lot of chemtrails. I don't see them anymore. Somebody caught on and said, these people are right. Those are not contrails. It's not that hard for people to understand the atmospheric conditions for why a contrail may or may not persist. And, so we've had sort of a turning point. And I believe from the spiritual level, it's just that evil does not like to be watched. It does not like to be talked about. It does not like to be exposed. Darkness cannot stand in the light. And as long as we keep our signal strong and everywhere, we're dispelling the darkness everywhere we go. And that is evident with them having to change their behavior just to keep up their weather domination agenda. You know what I mean? So
and there are so many of us talking about this stuff. It's not like they could do some mass crackdown and not be super obvious about it.
Right.
So
there's people that are highly concerned, like the Oath Keepers, about like a military coup. Military coups have a history of never going well. Syria, case in point, for whatever truth is behind what's going on in Syria. Military coups never work very well. It's a very, very delicate line. America's
maybe by design
in our
in some
state
cases.
sovereignty. I'm sorry?
But maybe by design in some cases.
Well, no, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, a military coup happens based on careful planning. Such as when they had the military coup to overthrow Hugo Chavez in the late 90s, and then that actually backfired on them, and Hugo Chavez came back. A lot of interesting stuff that went on there, which is why they tried to paint Hugo Chavez as one of these guys, like Ahmadinejad, because they didn't like it. Because I'm not saying Hugo Chavez was any kind of a good person or a saint, but he's doing his country better than what it was before, which was an actual American controlled CIA-backed issue. And now Hugo Chavez has it, and it's much more on his terms, and his people like him better.
Yeah, I think they've definitely gotten to like him better the last few years. I actually have a coworker, a friend who I've known for some time, who left Venezuela because of him. So I get a different story from her.
Right,
but
right.
At the same time, I've been tracking what, not just the vitriolic stuff, when he's going out and talking shit, but the stuff that he's actually doing. I think you're right. I think he is.
Yeah.
He seems to, he's definitely an egocentric person, very, ego-centered and likes his power. But at the same time, I don't know. I think he does have a true felt dream, a socialist dream, but a true felt dream. And he really does want things to be good for people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he at least tries to paint an actual idealistic socialist position. I'll never agree with that. I'm a libertarian through and through, and I'm converting myself to Gary Johnson now that the RNC is over. But no, there was a documentary, which it's escaping me, but if you look for it, there's some documentary that came out a few years ago that was available on Netflix at the time that actually talked about Hugo Chavez among some other people, and it had to do with America's involvement in establishing dictators, such as the guy who they tried to kick, because they kicked out Hugo Chavez, and then the people had a revolt against the government that was installed, and they brought him back. And they tried to paint that real bad, and all that happened like around 99. So that there's some of the history to that. But that just goes to show what's so important about telling the truth and putting that all into perspective. Like I get angry when I just see like somebody posting something about a Syrian atrocity with no context. You're just showing me a Syrian atrocity. It's just like this. When you just do that, I call propaganda on that person. So like, dude, let's get some context on this, because yes, I feel bad for them, but I believe in non-intervention. That is the Syrian people's conflict. It is their chance for their independence. Or if it's all a farce, then I definitely wouldn't want to get involved. I don't feel like being France here and giving them support because we just don't have good information. There's too many lies. And let's just worry about the tyranny in America.
And if the CIA is involved in Syria, then we're already spending our tax money on it. And if that's the case, then the more important thing for Americans to do would be to rout out the corruption and this sort of bullshit in the CIA.
Right.
We need to focus on our own house. It would be good for us to quit going around and fucking up everybody else on the planet.
No, I agree.
We are responsible for that. They're using our tax money, and us sitting back and letting them do it and watching them do it, and knowing they're doing it, is equal to being okay with them doing it. And I'm not okay with it. And I don't want my tax money being spent on that sort of thing. Obama killed 10 innocent civilians last Sunday in Yemen.
Yeah.
Oop, we meant to hit this car with, these super bad terrorists in it.
Yeah.
We know that terrorists are bad because of 9/11.
Yeah.
But instead, we actually hit this minibus and killed some kids and women. Yeah, oops.
Yeah, exactly. And like I like to remind people of this little tidbit that goes all the way back to Clinton, because I recalled the Monica Lewinsky trial, and in the heat of the Monica Lewinsky trial is when they were building up Osama bin Laden. And what does Bill Clinton do to get a little bit of heat off of him during the Monica Lewinsky trial?
Bombs Iraq.
I forget if it was Iraq, but he bombed.
It was Iraq.
It was like an Al-Qaeda, it was what he called an Al-Qaeda facility that was posing as a pharmaceutical facility or something like that. And he ended up just killing a bunch of... it was like a candy
factory that he said was a pill factory, and I'm pretty sure it was in Iraq.
Right, exactly. But we forget that because, Bill Clinton's this great guy, and I'm just like, Bill Clinton's not a great guy. He was in bed with Newt Gingrich for most of the 90s, helping the neocons take over and paving the way for George Bush. That whole infidelity was about a morality issue. So you could have him make the Democrats look like such sleazeballs that you wanted to have Mr. Purity of Jesus Christ come in, George Bush, and that's how you sort of build people up towards this biblical, antichrist mind control thing, where you have the guy who looks good so he can come in and do you dirty.
George Bush. They elected Al Gore.
Yeah, there's that too.
They're going to do whatever they want at that top of the level. I mean, look, we're the number one country on the planet. They got control over who's in the White House.
Yeah, I mean, it's
no matter who gets in, and that's why this whole Republican versus Democrat thing is all a charade. And to me, it's pointless. I've stopped participating in it altogether. I don't give a crap what's going on with the election. I don't care what Obama said about Mitt. I don't care what Romney said about Obama. I don't care what any of their little henchmen said about anybody else. The whole thing is just a farce. It doesn't matter who gets in. I can tell you who's going to win, and his name is Obamni.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, if a Democrat or Republican wins, we lose. Plain and simple. If Ron Paul had become the nominee, we'd be having a different conversation. But of course, Ron Paul was an anomaly.
Republican won't disavow it.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure. But I mean, what he did was, he forced the Republican Party to make a choice and expose them for the hypocrites that they are. So let's just say that maybe he was designed to fail or whatever. He did a lot for changing the political spectrum, and that's why I'm going to go vote for Gary Johnson.
Oh, well, I fully support going out. I mean, I don't give a crap about the election, the presidential election, because I mean, you can go out there, you can do whatever you want. I think it's valid as an exercise, personal exercise, to get out there and write in whoever. I might go right in myself, or Ron Paul, or I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
And I agree,
because there's a local issue that I'm very, very involved in, which is the people here there's a move to push fluoride on us. There's a move to put fluoride in our public water, and so I'm very, very involved with the effort to make sure that doesn't happen. And so you can bet your ass I'm going to be in the polls voting no on that.
Yeah. Like as it stands where I am right now, our water table is already legally fluoridating the water, and I haven't had the money recently to go get bottled water, which of course that also is annoying because then you don't get your fluoride, but you get your BPA from the plastic. But I'm trying. It's annoying, and they get you stuck in.
There are so many people who don't have good options, and that's one of the things that should be a basic human right. Clean water should be a basic human right for all 7 billion of us. Enough food is something that we could have. I want to get back on track here.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry.
So, but we could go on all night. There's a lot that ain't right, and there's a lot that we'd like to see changed, and I'm sure that you and I would definitely agree on a lot of that. And David, shut up, man. David, wow, he's like checked out.
Well, I'm on mute, dude.
Oh, I was just giving you crap for not talking.
Oh.
We give you an edge here and there.
No, sorry, dude. I'm Captain just got home late out of class. I'm in the Burger King drive-thru, so I've had it muted.
So we didn't find out about your Whopper.
Yes, actually.
Okay, well, guys, talking about 9/11 and the 2012 election, there's kind of a hubbub. I hear about this stuff on NPR. I try to, whenever I hear election stuff, I generally change it, but if I'm just kind of driving along, it might slip in, and I hear that the Obama camp is giving Romney a lot of trouble because he didn't mention Afghanistan in his speech when he accepted his party's nomination at the convention. And so I'm sitting here, it's 11 years since 9/11. Afghanistan is this war that was started based on 9/11, and the lie is so thick that to this day, one party is using it against the other party. Oh, you don't show deference for 9/11, and it's Obama doing it. And I'm just like, how did we get here? How is this still going on 11 years later? What do you guys think? Why hasn't this broken through yet?
That Obama's not honoring Afghanistan? I'm sorry.
No. I guess my question is, how is it that we still have a situation with the public discourse where presidential candidates can still give each other hell for not acknowledging 9/11, which is, kind of what the, Obama's jab at.
Well, that's because it's politics. That's just politics. It's completely irrelevant. That's just the shaped argument. So
but
one person can fail and one can
viable. It should be a situation where everybody's going, that's a bullshit war anyway. We should have been out of it. Didn't you say that we were going to get out? And then Obama will say, I am getting out. We'll be out in 2014. Go ahead and elect me. I'll show you.
Yeah, it's like the Iraq war. Like, he takes credit, like, see, I got us out of Iraq, like I promised. And then, you go back, you look at the simple facts, which weren't covered up other than right now in the media. And it's like, we didn't pull out. We were kicked out. And it's very interesting that we were kicked out and that meant something as opposed to America just imposing itself and sticking around because we wanted to stick around.
Well, Americans get American news, and they believe every little bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not all bad news, guys. And I know I'm down on the state of things, but the Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth has just recently put out a 1-hour special. They basically they're not saying this is an inside job. They're not wasting their time on that. They're saying, look, we're architects, we're structural engineers, we know buildings, especially high-rises, we know physics, and we're here to tell you that there are now 1,706 of them. We're here to tell you that there's something funky with the way these came down. The way they came down is not the way they said it came down, and so don't you think we ought to look at that? And so they've condensed everything into an hour. It's like really, I think it's pretty compelling, and it's been airing on PBS in Colorado, but it's been on the PBS website, and this week is the number 3 most watched video on the PBS website. So that's cool. I recommend that everybody go check it out. It's called Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Experts Speak Out, Explosive Evidence, something like that. But it's not just the only good news there. And this just came across the blotter this evening for me. The Italian Supreme Court the president of the Italian Supreme Court, is calling for an international criminal investigation to 9/11. He just said that today. And you want to talk about Iraq, dude? This is a quote from the president of the Supreme Court of Italy. I have collected in Italy evidence that the Iraq War was decided on by the U.S. government before the 9/11 attacks, with the help of the Italian Secret Service. That's a quote from the president of the Italian Supreme Court. So that just came out today. And I think that could be huge. If that gets picked up in America, well, I mean, it's already going to be huge world news. And eventually some of that's going to leak into people who are more intellectual and follow things like world news.
But at the moment, because of the control of the media, it's going to have to be something where it's forced to be self-evident because, the court system goes through it. Somebody so high profile that you can't ignore, gets subpoenaed. Something has to happen where the media has to, at the very least, acknowledge that it's happening, and which instantaneously puts credibility on the subject, forces people to talk about something they've been ignoring for 11 years, which is that 9/11 was an inside job, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing that concerns me is that, I've more recently come to realize, that, Alex Jones is part of the controlled opposition. He's the control of the conspiracy media. And, he's telling mostly the truth, but I believe that his full purpose is to pump up the boogeyman, because he's never once said anything useful. He's only scared us with, the great Satan of America and et cetera, et cetera.
That's the key right there. That's the key phrase. He's scared us. And I'll buy into the definite possibility that Alex Jones is a disinfo agent. I'll buy into that.
The strongest thing I heard is that he's a Knight of Malta. That's the strongest conspiracy connection that I've heard.
But everybody at every stage of this game fields that accusation at some point. And I would also be open to the possibility that Alex Jones is just a guy who's freaking scared. I met Stephen King one time, and I'm just here to tell you, that guy is just a big scaredy cat. He's scared of a jalapeno. He's afraid of death and disease at every turn, and that is why he writes the stuff he does. And I think that Alex may be controlled, and I think that Alex may be just really scared and reflecting, the truth that he sees. And I think that either way, whatever it is, the truth he brings forward, what is true, and the fact that he does wake up people to things is valuable. And the fear that he pumps on a daily basis into people is very destructive. And so you've got kind of a win-lose situation with Alex Jones, no matter what the true situation is with him. Because whatever it is, we have to look at, what are we getting? What are we getting from Alex Jones? And, a lot of it is some, like the FEMA camp stuff. I wouldn't know about that if it weren't for Alex Jones. But I've heard him on the radio. I've listened to him talking about Obama, and he's just so hateful and filled with fear, and all these bad things are going to happen, people. And I can't click. I can't be polluted with that. There are other ways to go about it, I think.
The last time I listened to Alex Jones was his interview with, I'm forgetting his name, but the guy, you had him on your show a couple weeks ago, the guy who created iPet Goat. He had him on his show. And you watched that, right? I did. Yeah, and you could see how much he was leading the argument, and he was trying to put it into his born again Christian mindset box, and trying to look at the Jesus allegory not from the Christ consciousness point of view, but from the Antichrist point of view. And it's just like, I didn't like the way that he interviewed him. I thought it was a valueless interview in many ways, because he was just more interested in leading the conversation. And the big difference between Alex Jones and like Stephen King and anybody else that tries to scare you in the fiction genre is that it's all about it's really about confronting your demons. Where him, it's just like run away from you.
Say that again, dude. Say that again. Confronting your demons.
Confronting your demons. I have a bit of theatrics.
It's kind of dark.
I work in a haunted house every Halloween, and I get excited, so I put on my theatrics now. But no, it's literally like that. You become, you look at it from a different perspective. You got a fear of heights, you go on a roller coaster. You got a fear of death, you go maybe watch, I don't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something, and you kind of put yourself into that experience, and you process that from a safe place. and you understand that it's fiction. And when you get out of the movie theater, you ground yourself back in reality, and you take what you got out of it, with you, whether there's something real to it or not. That's what I love about a lot of different films that come out that are doing soft disclosure. The Men in Black movies. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm dying to see this Branded film, which obviously is soft disclosure about marketing and the beast, et cetera, et cetera. And, that's all really exciting things. The Avengers. If you go type in the bad guys in the Avengers movies in Wikipedia, it jumps straight to David Icke's link on Wikipedia. So it jumps you straight to something in the Truth Movement. Which I thought was hysterical. So
I wonder how that happened.
I don't know why, but I'm just saying that those things are kind of important about facing our fears, and I don't see Alex Jones as facilitating that. And his time has passed. He had a great value at the time of exposing us to 9/11 truth, who Bush was, the people behind Bohemian Grove, the neocons, everything else. But his time has passed, and now it's time to move on to a higher vibrational frequency.
And all we can, and then so what we have to do is make that decision on a personal basis, which I've basically made. He might blip across my screen because he makes a headline, and I'll read the headline and see what he's up to, but I'm not actively going and looking for Alex Jones videos. I'm not actively listening on, like Blog Talk Radio or anything like that, or not Blog Talk.
I never pay attention to that anymore. Like, for instance, the whole, martial law thing and FEMA camps, I don't think it's going to happen. My cousin, who I said he's an ICE agent, DHS, works right in the heart and soul of federal law enforcement. He's told me there is absolutely no training going on for martial law. There's nothing going on the federal government level with the atypical agents and cops that do their thing. There's nothing like that going on. You'd think they'd be training for something if they were honest to God expecting it. So guess what? All those, so I think they're just putting on a show whenever you have the Sikh temple shooting or something like that, and then you've got all these.
They want you to be thinking about it because thought creates reality. If they can get masses of people thinking about that happening, it'd be their wet fucking dream.
Right, exactly. So I try to help people by counterbalancing that with just a little bit of reasonability because, people think that whenever the mainstream media actually reports on the exposure of the police state going on, it means that we're definitely moving more that way. And at the end of the day, I think it's just more of just staged stuff to make us believe that's going to happen. That we're going to have more Agenda 21 or whatever. There's so much fighting of that going on. They're still going to make victories. There's still going to be some blood, sweat, and tears in this fight, but we're going to win.
We're going to win.
We're going to win. I am confident of that. I don't know if the win is going to come on December 21st. I don't know if we're going to, have our galactic family show up and say hi. I don't know what's going to happen. But all I know is that I'm more interested in us for ourselves taking the power back. And that is, and that's going on. Don't let all this stuff scare you.
Do not be afraid.
BEA, beautiful. The bullet purchases, for instance, they do that every year. They're going to spend all those bullet purchases, on firing practice. Even the hollow point bullets. They buy that stuff every year. They have to recycle it. Why the gunpowder is going to go bad? They don't want to shoot blanks. They just happen to have a lot of these troops, these agents, and they need all that ammo just in case because they have to supply their people. We should be downsizing that. I say that because I'm a libertarian, but at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are not truly interested in a police state, except for the higher ups that would see it as a career opportunity.
Non-violation is how humankind has to evolve. Mutual non-violation. And until we get there, we won't truly evolve.
Right. Yeah, we'll slowly.
I think you're right. I think we need to focus on not the stuff that makes us afraid. We need to focus on the good stuff, and there's lots of good stuff to talk about. And when it comes to 9/11, we can really look at the heroes and the things that we do have going for us. And there is kind of a public awakening, if slow, there are a lot of people that are going to change people's minds when they find out that, oh, they believe that? Oh, they do? I'm talking about the 1,700 architects and structural engineers. I'm talking 250-plus pilots who are saying, no, planes can't do that. And, 220-plus military, intelligence, law enforcement, and government officials, celebrities. Now, for this episode, I did write a few emails and phoned a few agents trying to get someone to come on. I'm going to read you guys a list of people. I did not have any luck. I did get a nice email back from one person. I'm not going to say who I contacted. It's not the point. But here's a list of heroes that I think might encourage you to know, publicly have questioned the official story of 9/11. Charlie Sheen, most people know. And that's probably not the best thing because he's Charlie Sheen. But did you know his dad, Martin Sheen, has publicly questioned it? Sharon Stone. No surprise here, Michael Moore. But this might be surprising to some people if they aren't aware of the architects and engineers stuff. Ed Asner, who is a Wichita, Kansas native and was a very famous actor in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, he was the old man in Up.
Yeah, exactly. Ed Begley Jr., Rosie O'Donnell,
who's running for president, I think, for the Green Party.
The Green Party, yeah. The Green Party. And hey, you know what?
Awesome.
I might vote for her just because, I'm cool with that.
Why
we got
not?
Daniel Sunjata. And Daniel Sunjata, we've talked about before on the show, when he was on Rescue Me, I actually got to do an episode, as a New York firefighter, openly questioning those events on an HBO show, and so that was cool. And, he's, if you're watching on the Blog Talk episode page, you'll see a bunch of pictures going by, and the one picture of the one guy standing on the walkway with the 9/11 was an inside job shirt. That's Daniel Sunjata. You'll recognize him. He's done movies since Rescue Me has ended with Julia Roberts. He was in Gone, which was a recent kind of horror flick. Anyway, that's Daniel Sunjata. Janine Garofalo, director David Lynch, and Mos Def. I don't know if Mos Def and M kind of together put out a song. I believe it's Mos Def's song. Bush brought up 10 hours. I don't know if you guys heard that, but Tim and Eminem basically talking about how 9/11 was, inside. They believe 9/11 was inside job. They believe Bush was behind it. A lot of people think that he couldn't, operate a monkey wrench. So it had to be higher than that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's my Skype, but you're breaking up on my end. Just to let you know.
My end too.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep. They're probably messing with the signal. Say hi to DHS. Hi, DHS.
The CIA is for calling out. So anyway, how are we doing now? You got me good?
Better.
Okay. Carrying on with our list, Woody Harrelson, which, I guess ultimately isn't surprising, but I think it's pretty cool.
Awesome in Zombieland.
As a pot activist, he does a lot of work for that too. As a member of NORML, whatever. So he's down with a lot of things. He's one of those guys I'd love to meet and smoke with.
Yeah, he's a really big star. He's a really.
Do we have Joe Rogan on the list?
You know what? I don't have Joe Rogan.
He should be. I've listened to a few of his blogs. He definitely questions it.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, no, I think I've actually heard that, which is, actually.
I mean, Joe Rogan has had Graham Hancock on his show, so he's down with the truth movement. He's one of us.
Well, he didn't have Graham Hancock on for 9/11. He had Graham Hancock on for ayahuasca.
Well, no, of course, but I'm just saying that encompasses, because he has connections to Awake and Aware, and it's part of the whole thing. And I'm just saying that he's part of the truth movement, whether it has anything to do with 9/11 or not, is beside the point.
Sure, right.
I'm saying he's one of us.
That's neither here nor there, though.
No, Joe Rogan's definitely one of us. Everybody knows about Jesse Ventura, but how about Willie Nelson?
I'd assume he would be.
No,
Yeah.
he is. No, that's what I'm saying. Is have you heard, or can you believe that Willie Nelson is questioning the events publicly? Being at kind of country music royalty, that he obviously he's also a pot activist like Woody Harrelson and a lot of people, but that's kind of one of the things he's known for. But to publicly question 9/11 at that, I think that's got to mean something to some people, or maybe people are like, "Oh, crazy Willie."
Right.
James Brolin. And I got to ask, if James Brolin questions 9/11, does that mean Barbara Streisand does? Which would be, I would like to know that. But, Hated Patriot, dude, you're a long hair, so I'm guessing you're a rocker, right?
Yeah. I'm in a band. I play bass in a band. I got a gig on Friday.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. I kick ass, take names, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, then,
shameless plug. My band's called Nemesis Imperium. The band doesn't do any conspiracy stuff, so don't embarrass me. But come headbang with us.
There you go. Or just pull them aside.
Yeah.
But you know Slipknot and Stone Sour, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's singer Corey Taylor. Questions 9/11.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Corey Taylor's legit.
Dave Mustaine of Megadeth pretty much based his last 3 albums on Alex Jones's material.
Dave Mustaine of Megadeth was trying to get Rick Santorum elected president.
No, he wasn't. That was
Yes,
a
he was.
Joke.
Yes,
that was
he
a
was.
joke. That was a joke.
I promise you.
No, dude, I was watching that. That was a joke. He did that on purpose because Rick Santorum, a day or two before, was knocking heavy metal music for no reason other than to vie a little bit of the Christian vote.
And I purposely did not go to a Megadeth concert because of that crap.
That was a joke. He was kidding. I
gave you 3 tickets.
Oh man. We'll agree to disagree on that for now. It's a moot point.
No. I'll tell you. I'm willing to believe that it was all a joke because it didn't make sense to me to begin with. And I told other metalheads, and they were all like, "No," and it broke some hearts, dude. I know it broke mine.
It broke a few people's hearts.
My high school band was based on Megadeth, but one of the first solos I ever learned how to play guitar was a Megadeth solo. So, I grew up, with David Mustaine as like an older brother. So it was definitely, it didn't make sense, but at the same time, Dave's kind of crazy. So
he is crazy. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
But speaking of musicians who publicly, I guess musician might be stretching it in this case, but another person who is a pop star, a very big one, who, and I haven't seen how she's done this, but she's on the list, Miley Cyrus.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hannah Montana said 9/11 was an inside job.
That's very interesting, because Miley Cyrus...
That is very...
She's one of those women that would be part of the Illuminati's entertainment control structure. It's very interesting that she would say that.
Oh, God. I just saw that we're coming up on under 2 minutes to go. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go 2 minutes, and we're just going to keep going because we're going to YouTube this. So all you guys who are listening out there, if you want to catch the overtime part of the show, because in 90 seconds we're going to go off air. But if you want to catch what we talk about after that, check out my YouTube. Just go to facebook.com/extraordinaryyear, like it, check it tomorrow, and I'll have that YouTube posted that will have the last part of this show.
Is this going to cut off my Skype?
It should not. No, you and I and David should all still be here. It'll just keep recording. But then you'll either have to listen to the archive or get the YouTube. Because the people listening live, it cuts off after an hour. I've discovered, and I'm sorry, guys. So rounding out our list, Mark Cuban, you guys know who he is, and Margaret Cho, which, she might do it just for fun. So the real question to me, guys, is where do we go now? Does this matter? Does 11 years on 9/11, still basically the same story? The official lie holds; it stands. Does it matter? Is this going to be the last 9/11? We have to worry about it anyway because it's 2012. What do you guys think?
Well, 9/11 in and of itself is a Illuminati ritual date. So until the Illuminati are out of their power structure, where they can have their little blood sacrifices and things like that in their early September actions, I think we still have to sort of worry about it. That's my personal opinion.
So do you think that there's a possibility that they can retain power into 2013?
I think it's still waning. I think things still look good. I just read Ben Fulford's new blog, and things are looking up on there, and I still trust Ben Fulford. That's
that makes 1.5 of me. I'm on the fence with him. He's kind of kooky lately. It's a very judgmental word. For me to call Ben Fulford kook is probably also hypocritical. I've had shows talking to people who say they've been to Mars, so whatever.
Right.
David, Canada.
Yeah. Does this one matter? Where do we go now?
Where do we go now? From here?
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, if some are we talking about 9/11 or 2012 right now, or both?
I'm talking about 9/11. Do you think that because me, I'd love to see this be the last one where the official lie stands. I would like 9/11/13 to roll around and have everybody, already had a real investigation and have the whole world realize what really happened on that day.
Right. I think
within a year's time.
If December 21st or if December of 2012 period is really a date of change, then I think the explosion of 9/11 and the government and the whole conspiracy would be either the beginning of that change, or it would be at least definitely a big part of it, of helping it happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
But in all sense, if we are going to transcend, then I mean all of this is completely irrelevant anyway.
Yeah, and it's 9/11 right now today, and we just happen to have a show, so we're going to talk about it.
yeah, right. I got it.
No, I hear you. But I'd love to not have to talk about it. I can't believe it's 9/11/2012, more than a decade past the crime itself, and for all intents and purposes, I got to believe that most of the people around me still believe that 19 Arabs hijackers flew planes into those buildings, into the ground in Pennsylvania, to the Pentagon, doing an impossible turn that we couldn't do, and landing basically on its belly as it entered this building, and then have no plane wreckage outside, so to speak, or to speak of. To think that there were these huge fireballs and pieces of human bone have been found, like blocks away on the rooftops. To this day, they're finding little fragments of human bone from this. Yet the FBI found a passport from one of these Arab hijackers unscathed by the flames on the ground at Ground Zero. I mean, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously,
right.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, sometimes laughter's the best medicine. Sometimes you laugh at the bad guy, even when he's punching you in the teeth. And it's amusing to watch their reaction because you've dissolved their hate with humor.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I go back and forth with being able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way for me to do is when I'm arguing with a typical statist about it, and then like he says one of his absurd things, and then I laugh about it and talk about why I think it's funny, and then I just keep laughing, and they're either just going to think that I'm crazy, or they're just going to shut up because some people are just hopeless like that.
Hey, Canada, tell Dulcie I said hi.
Do what?
Tell Dulcie I said hi.
Tell Dulcie she's inside.
I heard it barking.
No one's barking.
So we are running over, so I'm going to kind of get close to wrapping it up here, but I did want to bring in one more news item, you guys. Something else that came across. Actually, it came across yesterday, but it's been talked about more today, and it's pertinent because I'm talking about Afghanistan. Have you guys heard that the Taliban has agreed to a ceasefire for political concessions? They're basically disavowing al-Qaeda and publicly they're disavowing Al-Qaeda and are agreeing that they're basically, I think they're proposing a ceasefire, basically an end to the conflict without, and even before America withdraws. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
I didn't hear that. I know that we stopped training the Afghan forces over there because they're getting so fed up with our American presence that they're killing our people who are trying to train them.
Yeah, they're calling them green on blue killings, and there's a lot of them. We've got people dying over there, 6 at a time on a weekly basis, and the American public doesn't even bat an eye. People are dying over there. Our kids are still over there, and they're still dying. They're getting shot.
The public doesn't expose it like they should. Or sorry, the media.
We're desensitized. They don't care anymore. It's actually in the headlines. I see them come across, and we're at like eternal half-mast. I don't know if you guys have noticed.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. What I think it is, I think that there's still a strong enough support coming from these red meat Americans that, revel in the concept of the Reagan era, and they look at it and they think they got something to prove for capitalism. And they look at Afghanistan because of how it destroyed the Soviet Union, and they think that because it's capitalism, they can do exactly what the Soviets did, and it'll be okay because of the greatness of America, and we will always have the money to do this, and eventually they're just going to get sick and tired of it. People don't get sick and tired of freedom,
We're going to free the shit out of them.
Right, exactly. So they're going to continue to fight because we're an occupying army on their land. Stop thinking that every freaking villager that one of us shoots probably was associated with the Taliban or Al-Qaeda. You're a psychotic if you think this way. I've had conversations with guys in the military that, that actually think that way, that think, oh, we're just about, gonna win, and, we got all this, that, and the other thing, and we killed that guy in that village, but that guy, our sources told us he was in the Taliban or connected to the... I'm just like, really? That's really what you think? When this guy threatened to come over and
was
kick
his
my
last
ass
name
at my
Talabi?
He wanted to come over to my house and kick my ass or whatever, and I said, like, okay, sure. I'm just going to make sure that it's filmed, and I'm going to make sure it gets on the 8 o'clock news so I can show people a U.S. soldier going nuts on a civilian for expressing his First Amendment right, because I'd rather have that happen because it'll help. So please, send me to the hospital. Make sure it gets on YouTube. That's what I told him. Without telling him where I live. I left that up to him to figure out where I live because he threatened to come to my house. And he didn't ask where I lived.
I have a feeling he was more threatened by your ideas than you were threatened by his threats.
And it originally started as just me trying, just trying to love the guy and trying to help, him just be conscious of the reality while he was wanting to be our servant.
These guys are brainwashed, dude, and they have to be. I mean, you know, my best friend's Marine, and, you know, he definitely changed a bit, but he had to, man, and, you know, he's coming back, but, you know, he had to, dude. If I was going to see my brother again, he had to be in that mindset. Yeah. I understand that, because it is a you or me situation over there. And it sucks that innocent people sometimes do die, but a lot of the times, I mean, their intel is right. I mean, not every time. A lot of the time, okay, a lot of the time it's wrong, you know, but the times it's right, you know, I'm hoping that my best friend wouldn't ever, I'm hoping no one would ever be put in that situation, but they're brainwashed to do that shit, man. They, you know, they tear them down in the situations. And granted, you know, I have met some dickhead fucking military people who are just douches and didn't actually do any fucking time or anything. But I do sympathize for the people who did go through that, for sure.
Yeah, it takes a different kind of way talking to them, because that cousin that I talked about, who was State Department and now is DHS ICE, he was also a Marine. He saw heat in Afghanistan, in the Fallujah area, and you know, I grew up with him. You know, I'm like a big brother to him. He didn't change. Like, you know, he actually did end up being the same person going in and out. He you know, like, he had a mental preparation.
He probably had strong will. He probably had a strong mind. And while I'm not saying my best friend didn't have a strong mind, you know, he was a little bit angry going in. You know, so naturally, you know, I'm sure your friend was probably a more around, I guess, happier guy than my friend. I'd say, not that my friend wasn't happy. He was just very serious. He had a hard life growing up, and he had to be serious, you know, to do that shit.
I think it depends on your reasons for going in and your attitude.
Exactly.
And they definitely look for a certain type to make the MK Ultra program work, especially on the mass level for the troops or the mass level for the general public like us. It takes a certain way of honing the mind to create that situation, you know. But yeah, no, I tell you straight up that he definitely had a strong will and an understanding of a lot of things. And, you know, and I told him, like, dude, when you go in there, I'm proud of you. Do not forget who you are. Do not forget who you are, you know, and do the right thing when you're in there, no matter what, you know, and I think that stuck with him. You know, I love that guy. You know, he's like my little brother.
That's great. I mean, I wish I would have said something like that to him.
Well, the good news.
I just told him I told him, you know, when you're there, be there. You know, don't worry about us. You know, it's like worry about yourself and getting back to us. You know, like, that's it. So, they had two different messages going in, definitely, as well. Now that I think about it, I'm in my communications master's program right now, by the way. So a lot of my references might revolve around communication theory, just so I discuss it for like fucking 9 hours a day.
Yeah, you got to be in that stuff when you're going for masters. You gotta.
Yeah, you got to be in it when you're in it. Be there when you're there. That's what I'm trying to say. You know.
Yeah. Well, the good news is for both of your guys that, you know, with this Taliban ceasefire, you know, this war could be over really quickly if that's the case. If that actually happens, and, you know, no more Afghanistan, no more Iraq. We're not going to let them do Iran. Yeah, maybe wars really are wrapping up. Maybe the wars are winding down, and they'll actually have a 2013 without a war.
I honestly think so, just because even if they still wanted it and had the resources to do it, they do not have the willpower to do it. I bet you $1 million that we have probably a lower turnout for registration into the military than we ever had based on the truth movement, and people not wanting to do that and not truly believing anymore that they're protecting our freedoms by joining the military, or that they're getting certain benefits.
People are smoking pot again. It's the second age, dude.
Or that America, well, people never stop smoking pot, David.
But it's coming forward again. In the 70s, it was publicly acceptable, and it's working its way through.
Right, exactly. And I believe that PTSD is really just it's the mind control breaking down. And that's really what's going on. and that's why they're doing what they're doing, and they're sadly often killing themselves.
Guys, great discussion tonight. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
All right.
Thanks for hanging out. And feel free to call back in. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. I've got several feelers out, so I have a feeling things will come together quickly. But very good discussion tonight. I thank you both for hanging out.
It's been my pleasure.
All right, Greg. Should see you tomorrow.
Yeah, Canada and I have our band practice tomorrow. So
yeah. Oh, if you want another great band that's in on the truth, that's nice and heavy, Swedish death metal band called Scar Symmetry. Check them out.
Scar Symmetry.
Scar Symmetry. They have songs like Time Wait Zero, Holocaust.
Is there any other kind of Swedish metal band than death metal? Like there's black metal.
Yeah, a little bit. Depends on what you call it.
Is that Swedish?
Well, I think that Toki might be. I think Toki might be Swedish. No, the blonde would be Squizgar.
Oh, Squizgar
and he is Nordic.
Toki is Norwegian, and Pickles is from Wisconsin, which technically
we all know.
Swedish.
Nathan is just brutal.
And he's just brutal. Yeah, dude, Nathan is like designed to project like Glenn Danzig or some nonsense.
Where's Murderface from, guys?
Murderface is supposed to be based on what's his face? Bill Ward from Sabbath or something. That's why he's like this disgusting dude.
Okay, well, for you guys out there who don't follow Metalocalypse, we're going to close it up. Go check us out at facebook.com/extraordinaryyear. Like us, spread the word. You know how it goes. You can follow me on Twitter at Tim Bravo. David's got one at Tainted Drums. Hated Patriot, you got one?
Check out my band, man, Nemesis Imperium.
Check out his band, Nemesis Imperium, right?
If you live in the New York City area, we got a gig on Friday, and you can find the information on the Facebook page, Nemesis Imperium.
There you go. That's it for us. The 100th day before December 21st, 2012. Keep your ear to the ground. Hold on tight, kids. Remember, do not be afraid. This is going to be an extraordinary year. Peace is on its way. Namaste, guys.
Namaste.
So I'll say what I feel today. Might make you uneasy, put you in a rage.